Good morning, and before you make your usual breakfast, I need you to stop and watch this because what you're about to hear might completely change what you put on your plate today. Most people over 60 are eating the wrong foods in the morning, and they have no idea that every single day they delay, their legs are getting weaker. Not because of age, not exactly, but because of what they're missing at the most critical window of the entire day. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell, and after decades working with seniors in clinical settings, I can tell you with full confidence, morning nutrition is either your greatest weapon against muscle loss, or it's the silent reason your legs feel heavy, unstable, and unreliable. Here's something that will surprise you. A landmark study published by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults over 65 who consumed adequate protein and specific muscle-supporting nutrients in the morning retained up to 40% more lower body muscle mass over a 5-year period compared to those who skipped or delayed their morning nutrition. 40%. That's the difference between walking your grandchild to school and needing someone to help you out of a chair. And before we dive in, I want to tell you we're counting down today from number 5 to number 1. And number 1 is something most people eat every single day but prepare completely wrong. And that one mistake is costing them years of leg strength. Stay with me until the end because number 1 will genuinely surprise you. But first I want to hear from you. Drop your age in the comments right now and tell me, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you eat? I personally read every single comment on this channel, and your answer helps me create videos that speak directly to what your body needs. So go ahead, leave that comment now, and let's get into this together. Starting at number 5, and this one is something most people either skip entirely or eat way too late in the morning: eggs. Now I know what you're thinking. Everyone knows eggs are healthy. But here's what they never told you: the specific proteins inside egg whites and the critical compounds hiding inside that yolk work together to fight a process called anabolic resistance. Let me explain what that means. When you're young, you eat a meal with protein, and your muscles absorb it quickly like a brand new sponge soaking up water. But after 65, your muscles become resistant to that protein signal. Your body hears the message, but it starts ignoring it. Anabolic resistance means your muscles stop responding the way they should. Eggs, specifically whole eggs with the yolk, contain leucine, which is the most powerful amino acid known to science for breaking through that resistance and forcing your muscles to respond again. Researchers at the University of Illinois conducted a study comparing whole egg consumption to egg white consumption in adults over 60. The group eating whole eggs showed 40% greater muscle protein synthesis after resistance activity. Not just a little better, significantly, measurably better. The yolk contains choline, vitamin D, and B12, all of which act as cofactors that help your aging muscles actually use the protein you're giving them. Think of leucine like the key, and these yolk compounds like the ignition system. You need both to start the engine. I had a patient, Margaret, 74, from Tampa, Florida, who had been eating only egg whites for 15 years because she was told the yolk was bad for her heart. When she started eating 2 whole eggs every morning, scrambled lightly in a small amount of olive oil, she noticed within 8 weeks that climbing her front porch steps felt easier. Her physical therapist confirmed that her quadricep strength had measurably improved. Margaret told me, "Dr. Mandell, I feel like someone returned something that was stolen from me." For optimal results, eat 2 to 3 whole eggs within the first 30 to 45 minutes of waking. Do not scramble them on high heat. Low and slow preserves more of the bioavailable nutrients. Pair them with a small handful of spinach because the magnesium in spinach enhances leucine absorption at the cellular level and boosts mitochondrial energy production in your muscle fibers. The mitochondria, by the way, are the tiny power plants inside every muscle cell, and after 70, you lose up to 25% of your mitochondrial density. Eggs help protect what remains. Number 4, and this one has been used by traditional cultures for centuries while Western medicine completely ignored it until about 15 years ago: Greek yogurt. Not regular yogurt, not the sweetened flavored cups with cartoon fruit on the label. I'm talking about full-fat, plain Greek yogurt, and the difference matters more than you can imagine. Here's why. Greek yogurt contains something called casein protein, a slow-digesting protein that, unlike whey, releases amino acids into your bloodstream gradually over 4 to 5 hours. Think of it like a slow drip 4 compared to a single injection. For aging legs, which need a steady supply of amino acids throughout the morning hours to prevent muscle breakdown, casein is extraordinary. A study from Maastricht University in the Netherlands, one of the world's leading research centers on muscle aging, found that older adults who consumed casein protein in the morning experienced significantly less muscle protein breakdown over a 6-hour morning window compared to those who consumed fast-digesting proteins. Your legs, which carry your entire body weight throughout the day, are particularly vulnerable to what scientists call muscle protein net balance, meaning whether you're building more than you're breaking down, or the reverse. Greek yogurt tips that balance in your favor. Beyond the casein, full-fat Greek yogurt contains calcium, potassium, and live probiotic bacteria. Now here's where it gets fascinating. There's a newly discovered gut muscle axis, meaning the health of your gut bacteria directly affects how well your muscles synthesize protein. Researchers at the University of Michigan published data showing that seniors with healthier gut microbiomes had up to 30% greater muscle mass retention compared to those with disrupted gut bacteria. The probiotics in Greek yogurt feed that microbiome. Your gut and your legs are having a conversation every single day. Greek yogurt makes that conversation a productive one. I want to tell you about Robert, 78 years old, from Scottsdale, Arizona. Robert came to me barely able to walk from his bedroom to his kitchen without holding the wall. He had been on a low-fat diet for over 20 years. When we switched his morning routine to include 1 cup of full-fat Greek yogurt with a tablespoon of ground flaxseed and a small drizzle of honey, the change over 3 months was remarkable. His daughter called me and said he's walking the neighborhood again. I thought that was gone forever. Eat 1 cup, roughly 150 to 200 grams, first thing in the morning. Pair it with berries or ground flaxseed because the omega-3 fatty acids in flaxseed reduce the inflammatory markers that accelerate muscle wasting. After 70, chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the leading invisible destroyers of leg muscle, and we'll talk more about that as we continue. Now, before we get to the top 3, and trust me, the top 2 on this list are the ones most seniors have never connected to leg muscle loss, I want to ask you a quick favor. If you're finding this information valuable and you believe this could help another senior in your life, please hit that like button right now and consider subscribing to this channel. I put out medically grounded information every single week because I believe seniors deserve the truth about their bodies. Your support keeps this channel alive. Now let's keep going, because we're just getting to the most powerful ones. Number 3, and this one will genuinely shock most of you: oatmeal, but not prepared the way most people do it. Here's what almost nobody tells you about oatmeal. Most seniors prepare it wrong, eat it alone, and miss the window where it's most effective. Plain oatmeal, eaten by itself in the morning, is fine for blood sugar, but it does almost nothing for leg muscle preservation on its own. The secret is in how you upgrade it and the timing of when you eat it. Oats contain a special type of fiber called beta-glucan, which has been shown in research from Harvard Medical School to significantly reduce a protein called interleukin-6, which is one of the primary inflammatory cytokines. Think of cytokines as chemical alarm signals that directly attack muscle tissue in aging adults. After the age of 65, interleukin-6 levels rise dramatically in most people, and this creates what researchers call inflammaging chronic, low-grade inflammation that silently destroys muscle fibers in your legs, your hips, and your core over time. Beta-glucan from oats acts like a fire extinguisher on that process. But here is the critical upgrade that makes oatmeal genuinely powerful for leg muscle. You must add a complete protein source to it. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that combining a slow-digesting carbohydrate source like oats with 20 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast led to significantly greater muscle protein synthesis throughout the morning than protein consumed alone. The carbohydrates cause a small, controlled release of insulin, and insulin at the right levels is actually a powerful anabolic hormone that shuttles amino acids directly into your muscle cells, like a delivery truck pulling up to a loading dock. Take half a cup of rolled oats, not instant oats, because instant oats are processed in a way that spikes your blood sugar too fast. Cook them slowly on the stovetop and stir in 1 to 2 scoops of a clean whey or plant-based protein powder, or add a generous spoonful of natural almond butter and a hard-boiled egg on the side. The synergy tip here is to add 1 teaspoon of turmeric and a pinch of black pepper to your oatmeal. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, has been shown in research from Tufts University to directly inhibit muscle protein degradation pathways. The black pepper increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. That combination makes your oatmeal one of the most anti-inflammatory, muscle-preserving breakfasts on the planet. Number 2, and I promised you this one would surprise you, and it will. Tart cherry juice or tart cherries eaten whole first thing in the morning. When most people think of leg muscle loss prevention, they think protein. And yes, protein matters enormously. But here's what the research is revealing that most physicians haven't caught up to yet. Muscle recovery and preservation is not just about building, it's about preventing destruction. And one of the most powerful destroyers of leg muscle in seniors is something called exercise-induced and age-related oxidative stress. Every day, even from just walking, climbing stairs, or standing in your kitchen, your muscle fibers experience microscopic damage. In young people, this damage is repaired rapidly. But after 75, your body loses up to 35% of its ability to neutralize the oxidative byproducts of that daily activity. They accumulate, they inflame, they destroy. Tart cherries contain the highest known concentration of anthocyanins of any food on Earth. Anthocyanins are antioxidant compounds that directly neutralize the oxidative molecules attacking your muscle fibers. A landmark study from the Oregon Health and Science University gave a group of adults over 65 8 ounces of tart cherry juice every morning for 12 weeks. The result? A 22% reduction in markers of muscle damage and a measurable improvement in lower extremity strength compared to the placebo group. 22% from juice alone. But it goes deeper. Tart cherries also contain melatonin, not in a sleep-inducing dose, but enough to regulate circadian inflammation cycles. Research from the University of Pennsylvania found that seniors who consumed tart cherry juice in the morning had significantly better sleep architecture at night. And this matters for muscle because 70% of your daily growth hormone release happens during deep sleep. Growth hormone is the signal your body uses to repair and rebuild muscle overnight. Better sleep from morning tart cherry consumption creates a virtuous cycle of muscle preservation that compounds over weeks and months. I think of my patient Dorothy, 81, from Boise, Idaho. Dorothy had given up gardening, something she'd done for 50 years, because her legs simply gave out too quickly. Her knees ached, her thighs fatigued within minutes. We added 8 ounces of tart cherry juice every morning alongside her breakfast, along with some other adjustments. At her 3-month follow-up, she told me she had replanted her entire front garden by herself over the course of a weekend. She cried telling me that. I almost did too. Drink 8 ounces of pure, unsweetened tart cherry juice in the first 20 minutes after waking before anything else if you can. Pair it with your eggs or your protein-upgraded oatmeal, because the anti-inflammatory compounds in tart cherry juice enhance the bioavailability of dietary leucine, essentially making your protein work harder. You can also eat a small handful of fresh or frozen tart cherries if juice isn't available, though the juice provides a more concentrated dose of those critical anthocyanins. And now number 1, the most powerful morning food for stopping muscle loss in your legs, and the one that most people eat every single day, but prepare in a way that strips out the very compound their muscles need most. Salmon. Specifically wild-caught salmon eaten in the morning, prepared at low temperature with the skin on. I can already hear some of you saying salmon for breakfast, but stay with me, because the science behind this is unlike anything else on this list. And once you understand why salmon tops every other food for aging muscle preservation, you'll understand why getting this right matters so much. Wild-caught salmon contains the highest natural concentration of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, of any commonly available food. Now, you may have heard that omega-3s are good for your heart, and that's true. But what most people, including many physicians, don't fully appreciate is the direct, powerful role EPA and DHA play in preventing what researchers call muscle protein breakdown acceleration, which is the dominant force of muscle loss after the age of 65. A groundbreaking study from Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis placed adults averaging 71 years old on either a salmon-rich diet or a control diet for 6 months. The effect of the salmon group showed a 35% greater preservation of type 2 muscle fibers, which are the fast-twitch fibers responsible for explosive strength, balance, and the ability to catch yourself when you stumble, compared to the control group. Type 2 fibers are the first to go as we age, and they're the hardest to get back. These are the fibers that keep your legs strong when you step off a curb, stand up from a low chair, or recover from a trip on the stairs. Losing them is what leads to falls. Losing them is what ends independence. But here's what makes salmon extraordinary beyond just the omega-3s. Wild-caught salmon contains astaxanthin, an antioxidant, so powerful that it is literally 6,000 times more effective than vitamin C at neutralizing the specific type of oxidative stress that targets mitochondria in muscle cells. Remember, we talked earlier about how aging destroys your mitochondrial density, the power plants inside your muscle cells. Astaxanthin is one of the few compounds known to actually protect and partially restore mitochondrial function in aging muscle tissue. You cannot get this level of astaxanthin from a supplement. It exists in its most bioavailable form in the flesh of wild-caught salmon. And then there's vitamin D. Wild salmon contains between 600 and 1,000 IU of vitamin D per serving, and this matters enormously because vitamin D is not just a vitamin. In muscle tissue, it functions as a hormone that binds to receptors inside muscle cells and directly activates the genes responsible for muscle protein synthesis. Research from the University of Manchester found that seniors with adequate vitamin D levels had legs that were measurably stronger by up to 18% in quadricep force compared to those who were deficient. And a staggering 70% of adults over 65 are vitamin D deficient. Most of them don't know it. Now here is the preparation mistake I see constantly, and it's costing people the very benefits they're trying to get. Most people cook salmon at high heat. High heat, anything over 375 degrees Fahrenheit, oxidizes the omega-3 fatty acids and denatures the astaxanthin, turning them from powerful muscle protective compounds into molecules that are barely absorbed by your body. The optimal preparation is low and slow. Either poach your salmon gently in water with a squeeze of lemon, or bake it at no higher than 275 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. The texture will be silkier, the color more vibrant, and the nutritional value will be dramatically higher. Eat 4 to 6 ounces of wild-caught salmon in the morning, ideally within the first hour of waking. Yes, this means making it the evening before and refrigerating it. Cold salmon with a small amount of Greek yogurt dressing, capers, and cucumber is actually a beautiful, refreshing morning meal that takes 3 minutes to plate. Leave the skin on during cooking. The fat directly beneath the salmon skin has the highest concentration of DHA, and it renders beautifully at low temperatures. The synergy tip for salmon is critical. Consume it alongside any source of vitamin K2. A small amount of aged cheese, fermented foods like kimchi or sauerkraut, or even a piece of Gouda contains vitamin K2, which works in concert with vitamin D to direct calcium into bone and magnesium into muscle tissue. Together, vitamin D from the salmon and vitamin K2 from a fermented food source create a hormonal environment in your muscle cells that is fundamentally more hospitable to protein synthesis. It's a combination that researchers at the Erasmus University Medical Center in the Netherlands described as having a synergistic anabolic effect in adults over 70. Let me tell you about James, 77 years old, from Portland, Oregon. James had retired from hiking, his greatest joy, for 40 years because his legs simply couldn't do it anymore. His quads burned after 2 blocks. He'd accepted that this chapter was over. When James came to me, we redesigned his morning meal entirely around these principles. Within 4 months, James was back on the trail. Not a mountain, but a real trail, in real nature with his grandchildren. He sent me a photograph of himself at the top of a small ridge, grinning like a young man. He wrote on the back of that photo, "You gave me my life back." I keep that photo in my office. Here is what I want you to understand, and I want you to feel this as deeply as I do. The loss of leg muscle is not inevitable. It is not simply what happens when you get old. It is what happens when the body is not given what it needs at the time it needs it, in the way it can use it. Every single morning is an opportunity not just to eat, but to signal your body, to speak to your muscles in the language they understand, to say, "I am not done, I am still here. I intend to stay strong." The science is clear. The foods are accessible. The preparation takes minutes. And the stakes are everything: your independence, your mobility, your ability to walk into a room under your own power, to play with your grandchildren on the floor and get back up again, to live in your own home, on your own terms, for years longer than you might have believed possible. I have seen seniors in their 80s transform their strength in ways that move them to tears. I have watched people who had accepted weakness as their destiny discover that it was simply a nutrient deficiency dressed up as fate. It is never too late to begin. Your muscles are listening. The question is whether you're going to speak to them starting tomorrow morning. The scientific references for everything discussed in today's video are linked in the description below. I encourage you to read them, share them with your doctor, and make informed decisions about your morning nutrition. If this video helped you, please subscribe to this channel right now. We are a community of people who believe that age is not a sentence, and that the body has extraordinary capacity to heal and strengthen when we give it the right tools. Hit the bell so you never miss a new video, and share this with someone you love who needs to hear it. And before you go, I want to know, which of these 5 foods are you going to add to your morning this week? Leave your answer in the comments. Tell me your age, tell me your story, and tell me what you're going to try first. I read every comment. This community is why I do this work, and I will see you in the next video.